Hello guys, and welcome in for another ESO log tutorial. Today we're going to be discussing how to use ESO logs to understand and improve your uptimes for Zen's Redress. Zen's Redress is a set commonly used in organized raid compositions to improve the overall group damage. While a very powerful set, ensuring you are using this set properly is crucial to help your group thrive. For today's video, we're going to discuss how you can find this debuff in ESO logs, and also, once you have this data, how to improve your Zen uptimes. So, jumping into ESO logs, once you've found a log of your choice, first you need to select a fight that you're interested in. Once in that fight, you're going to then go over to debuffs, and from the debuffs, you need to select cast by friendlies. Once here, you can scroll down and find where Zen is, or there's also the option to sort by abilities, and the debuff is specifically called Touch of Zen. And here you can see the uptimes. And another important detail for Touch of Zen is I do recommend filtering from all targets to have it instead go for the main boss, which in this situation is the Orphitic Shattered Shard, of which you see that does greatly reduce the uptime. Or if you knew there was situations where the raid lead called for focus on certain enemies, you could look at all of them. Like in this one, the raid lead might have called for focus on the Runarch at certain points, which would cause the individual wearing Zen to move their Zen debuff over to that targeted enemy due to the raid lead's call out for that. Now, Zen is an interesting set in that you need to have 5 different damage over time or dot skills rolling when you have your light attack in order to get the maximum 5% increased damage received by the enemy affected with Zen. But here on ESO logs, the vanilla view will only show you just if Touch of Zen is present at all, but not show you how many stacks. So for that, there's actually an extension you can get. And this is found in a couple different places. People have shared it on different servers. I will have a link you can use for downloading it down in the description below. This is going to be an extension called Zen's Buff. And as far as how to download it, once you download the file and then extract it, read the README page for step-by-step instructions. There's going to be a few pieces in this file. You want to read the README file, and it gives you very clear on step-by-step guide on how to use this extension. And this is for Google Chrome only. So I don't know if there's anything like this. I've not seen anything like this for any other internet browser, but it is very much so worth downloading because if we look at that same fight, we go through the same steps, and this time let's filter it by our DPS so that we can see their Touch of Zen. And now, once you have that filtered, you can see this. Or if we were to filter for just Touch of Zen and do a refresh on the page, it doesn't work. So you need to be not filtering by all abilities. The extension only works when you don't have excessive filters. You can filter by player and cast by friendly, but don't filter it by additional abilities. You can filter it by target, but again, if you do that, you're going to have to refresh, and then you can see the Touch of Zen uptimes. So this is going to be very useful data because we see that their total uptime for Zen might have been 56%, but the maximal uptime for Zen, which is that full 5%, was only achieved 11% of the time. So this player didn't have enough dots rolling on the boss at all times in order to get high uptimes. So let's talk about a few ways to help improve your Zen uptimes now that you not only know your base uptime of Touch of Zen, but additionally how much of the Touch of Zen benefit you are getting, and are you getting the most out of this set. The first thing you should do for improving your Touch of Zen uptimes is first with learning how to track this. When tracking the Touch of Zen debuff, there are a few different options. The in-game vanilla way is to go to Escape, Settings, Combat, and scroll all the way to the bottom. And for buffs and debuffs, you want to select Always Show. With this, you're going to be able to see if the Touch of Zen debuff is present on the enemy that you are targeting, but you won't be able to see if you have the maximum 5% or just the base 1% for Touch of Zen. This is where add-ons can help add that extra information. There are a couple different ones, and I'm going to show off 2 of them right now. And you can decide which one works best for you. On the left, we have EOXY's proc set. And on the right, we have Odie's hybrid heal with Track Zen's Redress turned on. And you can see what these look like. And you can see they're showing the timers for whenever dots fall off. I like these because they both relatively do the same thing, but you can mix and match or whatever you like. You see, it'll even show if you have more than 5 different dots rolling on the enemy at one time. It's always better to have more rather than not enough dots on the boss. And it'll also show you, you see why I like the one on the right, it also shows you for whenever you're going to lose that Touch of Zen debuff. And if I don't do another light attack, it'll fall off. But if I do one right now, it'll re-up it, but all my dots fell off. So this is where, now I'm not going to do any light attacks, can be very helpful for reminding you to make sure to do your light attack weaving. That's where the one on the left, if you're confident in your light attack weaving and that you're doing that, go with EOXY's proc sec timer. If you're not as confident in your light attack weaving, or you're with a boss that becomes invulnerable frequently, such as the Maja, the Ophidic Shard, you can't apply Zen's Redress until you deal damage with a light attack. So the enemy needs to be vulnerable to take damage from your light attack for you to therefore apply the Touch of Zen debuff. Now that we've gone over an add-on free and an add-on assisted way to track your Touch of Zen in-game, let's go over some tips to help improve your uptimes whenever you look at ESO logs. The first recommendation is going to be to look at the 5 damage over time skills that you are using to proc Zens. It's going to be easier for you to maintain high Zen debuff uptimes if you select skills with a long damage over time effect. A dot with only a 4-second duration is going to be a lot harder to maintain than a 20-second dot. There are tons of skills in ESO that do damage over time, and a great resource for visually organizing these can actually be found over on Healer Haven. Healer Haven has a ton of resources, but one of their things is talking about Zen builds. And they have this amazing graphic which will break down dots and their durations based off of class, weapon, arena weapons, armor sets, guild, world, or even scribing skills. So this is great for seeing all the different options you might have available to you. And I've put the link for Healer Haven's Discord in the description below. So having options for skills you can select is great, so you can decide what works best for your situation. The second tip I have to improve your Zen uptime is to ensure you're placing your dots on the main target. In most fights, this is going to be the big bad in the room, such as the Mage and Ethereal Archive. But in some situations, the whole group might pivot to another target. An example of this would be if it is a large enemy, such as the Flesh Abomination during the Basai fight in Rockgrove. You might instead choose to move your Zen debuff over to the Flesh Abomination instead of Basai to help kill the Flesh Abomination faster. But at the end of the day, follow what your raid lead says to focus on. And this brings us to the third way to improve. You should select skills that make sense for your situation. If you are in a highly mobile fight, like say the Knot Carry in Lucent Citadel, choosing skills like Scalding Rune or Barb Trap, which need to be preemptively placed and have an arming period before they proc, might not be the best choice for Zen uptimes. So, especially if you are running with a consistent group, either working on progressing through content or farming gear, take a look at which skills have the lowest uptime and also lowest damage. And how to see that is actually pretty simple. You just go over to the Damage Done tab and you can look at your skills here. And it will clearly tell you which ones you did the least amount of damage, and some of the skills, especially if they are a damage over time, will tell you their percent uptimes. So you could look at that information and make decisions on which skills you're either going to try to keep or skills that you see you want to keep because they do good damage, but you need better uptimes. This is one of those tips where you either need to gain experience or ask those who are your mentors for content for their suggestions. The fourth point to address for Zen uptimes is what class are you bringing? In ESO, there is a large difference between dot-centric classes like Dragon Knights with 6 different class dot skills and sorcerers that have 0 class dot skills. This means if you want to be a Sorc wearing Zen, you have to utilize non-class dot skills, and honestly, this is inefficient, since this will most likely reduce your personal damage. Although you are wearing a support damage dealer set, you should still be doing your best to contribute to the group damage with your personal damage per second. And my fifth and last point is something that is fundamental to damage dealing, but I would be remiss to not go over this basic, but sometimes overlooked detail. And that is, you have to light attack to proc the set Zen. So please ensure that you are constantly working on your light attack weaving. This means that between every skill you cast, you should be fitting in a light attack. And if you want to see if you're successfully weaving in your light attacks, a convenient spot to see that on ESO logs is going to be going over to casts, and then you're going to change it from tables to timelines. And here you can start looking at what your skill casting look like, and it should look something like this with light attack, skill. Now here we see there was a missed light attack, but generally it should be skill, light attack, skill, light attack, skill, light attack, skill, and this going back and forth on the timeline between light attacks and skill. So you could look at some other options and see also what your casts were, and if you're wondering what your overall casts were of certain skills, you can also look at the table. But for seeing if you're getting your light attack weaving, again, that's going to be the timeline. And with that, guys, that concludes this video discussing how to read and find the debuff Zen's Redress in ESO logs, how to improve your view of this debuff in ESO logs, and then also some tips to help you improve. If anybody has any further tips, please do comment down below, or if you find any other questions or specific instances or want some tips, again, feel free to comment down below. Also, in the description, I have the link tree for my Discord, where feel free to bring up any comments or questions that you might find in your experience when trying to use ESO logs. Also, if you have any gear sets or debuffs that you would like discussed or broken down for a future video, please do comment down below. This was a suggestion from you guys, so keep them coming and I'll keep making them. And if you learned something new today, make sure to like the video and consider subscribing so that you stay up to date for the notifications for when the next video goes live. Speaking of live, if you guys want to hang out with us live, we're over on Twitch multiple days a week, so you can check us out over there at SavySnapdragon. If nothing else, thank you all so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye!